Greetings, paper demons! Welcome to another video on sketching. The last 4 videos that I had posted were edited live streams covering 4 lessons to help you improve your sketches. In this particular video, I'm not really giving a lesson per se. I'm just going to add some additional thoughts that I wanted to share that I didn't quite get into in my other videos, while showing you a time lapse of a sketch that I did in day 5 of my sketching livestream series. So the first 4 videos I talked about 4 basic steps: gesture, shapes, reference, and brainstorming. I presented these in this particular order because that's the order you tend to learn these sorts of things. Gesture is like the very first thing that you learn when developing your drawing skills, like especially with drawing people. But the actual order that you'd use these steps in is a little bit different. Typically, if I'm working on an illustration, the very first thing I'm going to do is spend time gathering reference. So before I even start drawing at all, I spend time gathering reference material to help me both with the brainstorming phase and with the actual drawing, because then I have reference material that can help me. So the actual sequence of steps I'd take when doing a final illustration would actually first start with reference, then second would be brainstorming, third would be gesture, because by that point I would have a good idea of what I want to draw. It's just a matter of starting the final drawing. And then after getting in that gesture, I go into shapes. There are more steps involved than this, but that's just kind of covering the sketching aspect of it. And I do want to point out, simply watching this lesson series is not going to be enough for you to drastically improve your sketching, because it actually takes a long time of practicing each of these steps in order to get to a strong point with your sketching. In particular, I spent years practicing gesture, practicing shapes, and I had plenty of opportunities to practice gathering reference and brainstorming along the way when I was studying animation and illustration back in school. So be patient with yourself. Don't expect to miraculously be able to do the things I talked about. If anything, I hope that this video series helped you to get a sense of what types of things would be good to practice, to work on. And I was actually just doing a live stream today, and someone came in and mentioned that they haven't really drawn a lot in a long time, and part of it is because they feel very frustrated when they have an image in their head of something that they want to draw, but they just aren't able to draw it. And that has definitely been a frustration for me when I was first learning to draw. Back in high school, I remember so many times I had these ideas in my head and I just couldn't get them on paper. And what's interesting is when you intentionally practice the fundamentals, you actually get to the point where you can draw pretty close to what you imagine in your head. You can have an idea of something, of a position that you want the characters to be in, and you can just wham, lay it out and get it out. And you've probably observed me do this with some of the sketching that I've been doing. Pretty quickly I'm able to get out an idea without struggling too much. And that comes from very intentional practice. It doesn't come from, oh, well, just be patient, it eventually comes to you. No, you actually have to spend the time to practice specifically the fundamentals. So if you're spending the time to study figure drawing in particular, practicing figure drawing and having a good teacher to help you through learning these basics, especially gesture and shapes, you will get to the point where you can draw anything from your head. Because part of it too is being able to just memorize the anatomy, memorizing how certain things look from certain angles. You just end up accumulating enough experience that you are able to recall that in the moment that you need it. I remember when I was studying figure drawing, I repeated the figure drawing classes multiple times because I really felt like my drawing was drastically improving with each round of taking it. I could see the improvement in my art. So I would really encourage you to study figure drawing. But one thing in particular that I remember from one of the classes I took is we actually had this thing called boot camp, where we actually had to practice drawing basic shapes and like three-dimensional shapes, like the cube, the cylinder, the sphere, over and over and over again. And it sounds very tedious, and it certainly was, but at the end of that, at the end of going through this boot camp of practicing these shapes, practicing using these shapes together to form arms and legs and torsos and things, my drawing got so much better. So I'm actually thinking about creating something similar because that was just such a valuable learning tool to me. I'd love to create something like that and see if I can, gamify it, add some experience points for you, just like we do with our other challenges. Just a reminder, if you aren't already a member of the PaperDemon community, we do run creative challenges either every 2 weeks or month-long ones. If you'd like more tips on sketching, do post in the comments below, and I'd be happy to do another video on this topic. There's so many things that you could talk about with sketching. Also, if you have some really cool sketching tips, also post those below. I'm sure others in our community would very much benefit from that. Thank you so much for watching this series. The next series that's coming out is going to be on color, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Would you like to join me live during one of these live streams? Join my mailing list so you can hear about my live streaming schedule. A link is in the description below. Thanks so much for watching and being a part of the PaperDemon community. Don't forget to click like and subscribe.